Now what I've done here is tilted the Earth at about 23 degrees, and in January, on January the 4th to be exact, the distance to the Sun is closest to the Earth, which makes it winter in the Northern Hemisphere and summer in the Southern Hemisphere. But because the Sun is up here, above the Earth, the sunlight hitting the Earth keeps the Northern Hemisphere from being too cold, and because the Australia is down below that line and closest to the Sun, it is actually under the equator line of the Sun. It's actually 7.551 degrees. It's quite extraordinary. It is the furthest south of any of the planets, which is quite unique. If it wasn't that way around, what would happen would be the Earth couldn't be sustained. Okay, so we are now just passing January, and the Sun is close to the Earth. And what's happening is these dark blue areas, of course, is, you could say that's the Pacific Ocean. It's like a gear. That's a magnetic field, that's a magnetic field, that's a magnetic field, that's a magnetic field. This is a non-magnetic field. Each of the continents have a orientation. I think Australia is about 11 degrees off north-south from the magnetic field of the planet itself. So if you're a pilot, you have to make allowances from where you are in the world when you're doing magnetic navigation. So this is like a gear. That's a gear top, that's a gear bottom. That's a gear top, that's a gear bottom. Now, depending on the time of year, the influence of these magnetic fields, which is driven by the Sun, and as the Sun is putting out a steady rate of magnetic field and sunlight, then the Earth will rotate, and when it gets over this area here, it might slow marginally and speed up again. It might be only a few seconds, maybe milliseconds. NASA's not talking that. So that's the problem with the Earth is that our scientists are all fucked in the head because they've been educated by Zionist universities. And the whole point of being in control of universities is to keep the truth from the masses. So we're like mushrooms, which grow quickest in the dark. And what is mushroom fed? Bullshit. So they direct the line of thoughts. Okay, so this is a very strong magnetic field here. That's a weaker one. And what may be happening now is the Sun is causing it to go backwards slightly because the magnetic rate of the Sun, indicated by its flashing on and off, as we've seen in Antarctica, means, because it is quite dramatic, and it's also the Sun around it is the dwarf. Now the dwarf, when we look at Pinneberg, Germany, we find that the Sun comes across the housetops and it has a companion with it. But then, in about an hour, it's gone. I've already determined that 2 weeks ago when I was looking at Pinneberg, that there was a white planet with a small white planet, which I have calculated to be a 25-hour orbit. So in other words, it's the Sun orbit, if you like, is stationary, but because the Earth is turning, it has a 24-hour cycle. The two planets, however, are rotating around the Earth, and it's on a 25-hour cycle. And this is what we see in Russia, and they're reporting it, and China, which they're reporting it. And this is Kachina and all those names that they give it from the Hopi Indians and so forth. It's all relevant. So I think here you can look at that as being a gear, the bottom of the gear there, a less magnetic field there, a higher magnetic field there, a lower magnetic field there, a higher magnetic field there. So look at it like a gear meshed to the magnetic field of the sun, which is being orbited by the dwarf, which indicates in Germany by the Pinneberg observations that the black dot accompanying the larger black dot appears to be on a 24-hour cycle. Not necessarily though. It may be on a 6-hour cycle or a 3-hour cycle, rotating around the Earth, rotating around the sun rather, causing this magnetic wave as a gear edge hitting this area here, having little influence until it hits the larger magnetic field. Now remember, this is a north and south magnetic field. So the magnetic field coming towards the sun will cause this to do this. During the rotation of the day. Okay. So there's a normal rotation here. We'll let it go. There's Antarctica. There's the tilt roughly. I'll put it in the right position. Roughly 23 degrees. So here's the sun up this direction, way above 7.551 degrees above the equatorial plane of the Earth. So it's doing this. Slowing there. Hits Australia and Asia, China, which is a very strong magnetic field, India. So that locks onto the sun's magnetic field. Then it's less influenced here. Then Africa, very strong influence. Then you've got the Indian Ocean. So there's a slowing down. Come around to the Pacific. And that goes very slow across there. So we might be losing several seconds a day. As I say, the scientists aren't talking. Matter of fact, if they do talk, they get killed. We've seen that many times. So what we have then is the possibility that the magnetic field of the sun, due to the companion dwarf, may itself start rotating around the sun backwards and cause the Earth to go backwards, and then you've got the Koran being correct, and you have the sun rising. Here's the sun here, so the sun will be rising in the west. Now, because of the 22-year cycle of the sun, the 12-year cycle of the sun, 2012 has been predicted as being a very, very major solar flare activity, and that's burning up the energy, and the sun is only producing enough fuel coming out of the base of the center of the Earth, if you like, through a white hole, because that's connected to the antimatter companion that's orbiting it, and also the sun is fed by the pouring out of hydrogen into the center point of the sun from the heavenly realm, because it's a different. When you say heavenly realm, I don't mean it in a spiritual sense at this point. I'm saying it in a scientific point of view, that it is coming from a different time zone of the universe, and it's a parallel existence. So we've got the heavenly Earth and the heavenly sun. We've got the heavenly Nibiru. Then we've got the earthly, or this realm, sun, Nibiru, and the Earth. I think that's what's happening. So look for it to start spinning backwards very shortly.